And I think we're good, right? We're live? Yeah, we're live. All right. Good morning, Gustavo. Good morning, Real Closers. How's it going today?
Doing good, man. Happy, after the break, after a big holiday week, and I think a lot of people are getting back in the swing of things. I see a lot of vacation pictures on Facebook nowadays, Facebook, Instagram, and everything. So I think people are starting to get back into the swing of things, or at least on that way.
And when they're back from vacation, what do they want?
They're arriving when people are back from vacation in the real estate, right? If you took some days off, you're entering a really tight market. A lot. We're lacking inventory in basically in almost every market in America. I was seeing this post on Lab Coat Agents last week, and it said out of 100 markets that they're tracking, I think this was Fortune magazine, out of 100 markets that they tracked, 99 of them have seen price increases over the last 90 days. 99 out of 100. The only exception was Austin, Texas, which is going through a tough shift. But 99 out of 100 markets they tracked, the major markets in the US, are seeing pressure on prices. Why? Very simple. Not enough listings in the market. Plenty of buyers, even at interest rates at 6 to 7%, actually above 7% a little bit last week, right? So even with those interest rates, they've been factored in for a lot of buyers. Not every buyer, but a lot of buyers, more buyers than there are active listings, more buyers than there are active listings. And the market is just tight on inventory, very, very tight. Bidding wars are the norm, lack of inventory, a lot of pressure on prices. That's the situation we're in right now, okay? That's just life. And in inventory, I'm looking at the numbers. It got a little bit better from May over to June, still not nearly where we needed to be. We're still about half of the active listings we had pre-pandemic, Roberto. So that's mind-blowing to me, right? Like what? We're barely above half of where we were, 4 years ago, and at the same point in the market, in the same cycle, right? So I think that should give us some pause and say, holy cow, things have really changed, and the focus should be on sellers. That's what everyone needs to be focusing on and finding them. But I want to give people some pointers, okay? I'm going to talk about 3 strategies, 3 main areas you should be focusing on to generate sellers ASAP. There's 3. And, there's more, there's many more, but I'm going to focus on the top 3 that can get you results right away. Okay. The top 3 that can get you results right away, not 6 months from now, not a year from now. Okay. These are the top ones. And the start with number one source of potential listings. And I run this question every few months in the groups, in Real Closers and other groups, in my own group. I run this question. Where did you get your last listing? Okay. Where did you get your last listing? I run it every few months. I'm always curious to see. And Roberto, it is consistent. 80, 90% of the responses to that question are that their last listing came from their friends, family, past clients. Okay. Their sphere, their database. Okay. So if you want to get potential business ASAP, you have got to make sure you're not sitting idly by waiting for the phone to ring for your database to give you a listing handed over to you, okay? You have to be reaching out, right? So when my opinion of reaching out to your database, a properly marketed database is going to give you 10% referrals year over year, okay? Which means you have 100 people in your database. That's way too low. Let's say you have 100 people in your database. They should generate 10 referrals for you every year if it is properly marketed to. My database, when I started real estate, this was a while ago, I had 200 people in my database, right? I was a recent immigrant to the US. I wasn't from the area. I had 200 people that knew, liked, and trusted me. And I would get 15% referrals every year from that database, right? Properly marketed database can give you referrals. You can't just wait for them to do it. You got to market to them, you got to call them, you got to invite them to an event. You got to be involved. You got to make it apparent that you need their help in growing your business, okay? And right now, it's a really simple call to make. Generate a piece of content, generate a class, generate an event, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. If you have a $50 budget or a $5,000 budget, my first events were $50 events. Why? Because it was just me teaching a class and getting some snacks. That was my budget for my first events I did for my database, right? So I didn't know what I was doing. Then I graduated to having hors d'oeuvres, open bar at a restaurant. I rented a skate rink and did like catered lunch for everyone. That was when my database was producing like gangbusters, right? That was great, but you don't start there, okay? You start with whatever you can that can be valuable. And I love classes, like teaching people classes, even if it's a 20, 30-minute class, because you can use that as a reason. Hey, you know what? I'm setting up a class on how to buy and sell in this crazy market. Who do you know? Because it's not even them. Would you like to attend? Who do you know that I should know that could find this class valuable? It's a great script, right? It's killer. Who do you know that might need this super valuable thing that I've got, which is how to navigate this crazy market with the interest rates, the different loan types, the 2-1 buy downs or the rate buy downs or the builder incentives or the multiple offer situations. Make a class. I don't care how you do it, just make it, right? If you had to make it, you'd make it in a day. That class, if you had to make it, you'd make it in a day. Because that's what you do in your buyer presentation and your listing presentation. It's what you have to do anyway. Educate these folks on how to navigate the market, invite them to that class. Get them some sandwiches from Quiznos, from Subway, from whatever it is. Was it Jersey Mike's, whatever it is, right? Get some sandwiches and you're good to go. That's it. And get a pack of Coke from Costco, and then and that's your event, right? Like they're sitting down and you're teaching this class at a conference room in your market center and your brokerage. Beg, steal. I did an event. I was living in a community. They had like a little movie theater, little cabana movie theater combo. I had people at my movie theater, my community. That was the event. I put on a movie night, right? Cost me whatever the movie, back then we used DVDs back then, it's a while ago. So it cost me whatever the DVD cost me plus popcorn for like 30 people. Just get creative with it. Get creative.
You could even get sponsors, right? You can get title to help you. You can get
100%.
your lenders.
I never did that, and that's a really dumb thing because I had like a lender that worked with me all the time. I think I maybe did like a picnic. I take it back. Maybe I did a picnic with my partner, my loan partner, where they like brought some of the food. 100%, Roberto. The more elaborate you want to make these things, or you put on the class, they bring the snacks, whatever it is. Get creative, and you got to do it 4 times a year. Okay, do it now. Do it again in the fall. Do it in the late winter, early spring, and every 3 months you should be doing this event. Okay, every 3 months you should be doing it now. You should be doing it about October, November timeframe. You should do it early in the year. Every 3 months, you got to do it. That was how I got the best success because I wasn't constantly calling my database. I would call them every 3 months. Every single person on that list, I'd invite them to the event, okay? That is how you get in touch with your database. And even if they're not doing anything, this is the funny thing, Roberto, because, I just sold these folks a home. Why would I call them and ask them for business? It's not them. Well, number one, you never know what people are going through. You never know, number one, right? Because I would have people that would, I worked in Seattle. There was a lot of people in the high-tech industry. They'd move to San Francisco like all the time. Like I had clients, I had a client that moved to San Francisco, sold their home. That same client then bought an investment property in Seattle. That same client was no longer living in Seattle, had an investment property I helped him get, would send over business because he liked me, he trusted me, and I'd keep calling him every 3 months, see who he had. And even if he didn't have someone right that moment, I'd plant that seed and he'd send me someone within the next month or two, okay? So I got him a deal, got him an investment, and got multiple, I can't remember how many, but multiple of his friends and colleagues at work would buy homes with me, either investment properties like condos or like single family homes. So it's like, it was just asking, right? And we're just asking. And you better bet whenever he was in Seattle, we go out for drinks. That was the whole, client management part of it, right? So, but I was the people that treat you the best. That's a whole other topic, right? How to manage your database, because you're always going to have those A performers, the ones that refer not one, but multiple people to you. Those people you don't just call every 3 months. I'll just tell you that, right? So, but anyways, and I'm getting more into this, Robert. I want to get into the other topics because I'm teaching a webinar this week, like a long form webinar, going to be over an hour. Going to be a lot of content like this around this, how to get sellers ASAP kind of question, right? But number one is database. Properly marketed database can yield a lot. Even if your database is not buying or selling or investing, someone they know might need to relocate, might be looking to cash out on a property, and buy, because the people that are not worried about interest rates, Roberto, are cash buyers. They couldn't care less that rates are at 7%. They might be selling a larger home and moving into a smaller home, and they might not even need financing. Those people are in the driver's seat. They're in control, but you got to find them, get referred to them, get recommended to them. And if you're waiting for that to happen organically, you might be waiting for a long time. Okay. Don't just rely on that. Don't just rely on that. Okay. Number two, you're calling your database. It's only 4 times a year though. Okay. It's not, that's, for me, it would take about I'd say take about 10 to 20 hours every time. That's 80 hours a year to do those calls, 80 hours per year. Okay. So that's like, what is that? 2 weeks per year you're spent calling your database. There's another 50 weeks that you can do work, right? You don't have to just do that. Okay. What else do you do? Perfect. Prospecting, right? Cold calling. And you got to be calling the lists that have the highest likelihood to be productive calls. Okay. The highest converting prospecting calls you can always make is recent expired, recent withdrawals and canceled, and recent for sale by owner. Those are like tried and true. Those always work. I'm here to recommend some other ones, right? Because people know those, they get those. I'm going to recommend some not only you can do, but your ISA can help you do as well. I think that's a huge advantage you can have. An ISA can help you augment that prospecting by calling old expireds from a year ago. Why? Because a year ago was roughly the peak of the market for the whole country. Okay. It was the peak. And I have a suspicion, Roberto, we might be setting a new peak this year if we continue in this low inventory situation. It might happen. It actually might happen for as a country, like an average. In some markets, we're already beyond that peak, which I think is nuts, right? Like, holy cow, what do you mean? Yes. The hottest markets in the US right now are beyond the peak that we had last year. So it wasn't much of a crash, right? What we saw during the winter was the crash. It wasn't much of a crash, at least not yet, right? So holy cow. So you want to call people and give them the good news, okay? And I'm talking about those old expired, old withdrawn, old canceled listings from 12 months ago. Go back and give them a call. And if you don't have the time to do it, have your ISA. Go back and call those people. Absentee owners, the same thing. For rent by owners, absentee owners, the same thing, okay? They have a property that they might have thought of selling last year and they thought they missed the boat. A lot of those landlords, a lot of those mom and pop landlords are kicking themselves. Man, I should have sold last year. Oh, well, guess what? Here's the good news. We're starving for inventory. I bet I can get you a better price. One of my clients, Ryan Akers, had his ISA do this for the first 2 weeks he was on the job. And he got him 2 bona fide listing appointments, motivated sellers, just from calling old expireds. And he told me they had no clue their home could sell for the amount they thought. They didn't know how much it could sell for. They were genuinely surprised and very happy to get that call, okay? So I'm not just saying this, I think this might work. This is what my clients are doing right now, calling those old expired, calling those old canceled, those old withdrawals. They're calling them and they're figuring out that they've got some good news to tell them. And I think that's a really good thing to do, okay? So old expireds, absentee owners that haven't sold yet, and last but not least, good old circle prospect. Good old circle prospect. Look at these high value neighborhoods, give them a call and see what comes out of that, right? If you're doing this, or your ISA is doing this for you, you should be generating 1 to 2 qualified sellers per day. That's the goal, 1 to 2 qualified sellers per day. The highest converting, hottest leads are always going to be those recent expired, recent canceled, recent FSBO, but those are not the only ones that can sell right now, okay? Because I really like the expired listing that couldn't sell last winter. I really like it because guess what? You're giving them really good news and giving them a much better price than they anticipated. That's a great call to make, Roberto. That's a great call to make to an expired listing. And you and your ISA at the beginning are just qualifying for motivation. If I could give you an offer today, would you still sell? If it were better than what you saw last time you were on the market, would you make that move? Yes or no? Oh my God. Because rates were at 7% last September as well. I mean, 7% rates are not great. I mean, yeah, they're higher than they were in recent years. That's the exact same rate there was in September. Okay. So if they were thinking of selling and buying back in September, they can still sell and buy right now. It's just the math has not changed for them. Okay. So make those calls, talk to these folks, and I think you're going to be really pleasantly surprised with the result. Okay. Number three. So number 1 was database. Number 2 was prospecting. I gave you the tips, the top list you should be calling right now. Number 3, last one, is online leads. And the reason I put it as number 3, it's not number 1, because some people go, oh, online, I want to do that. I want to buy leads. Yeah, but you want to be careful with that. It is the lowest ROI activity of the 3. Okay. It is the lowest ROI activity because it costs a lot of money to generate leads online. It can scale up, but you want to avoid one thing. You don't want to go all in on just home valuation ads, right? They can be very low converting. They can be very expensive to do. Same thing with Google pay-per-click. How much is my home worth? How much can I have? I want to sell my home ASAP. That is probably right now, summer of 2023, the most competed keyword like in America right now, right? Because everybody wants those home valuation leads. But here's the thing. Everyone's bidding them up to huge numbers, right? If a typical lead on Facebook costs $5 to $10 and a typical lead on Google costs $10 to $15, the seller focused lead, the home valuation focused lead, is 2 to 3 times that amount. Minimum, okay? I've seen $60 seller leads on Facebook, 60, okay? Because there's a lot of competition for those, but here's a challenge. The conversion rate does not measure up, in my opinion. I don't think the ROI is there for that kind of an ad. What do I recommend you do when you're looking for sellers online, Facebook, Google? Focus on buyer lead magnets, okay? Every seller is a buyer first. No one wakes up in the morning saying, oh, I want to sell my home today. Nope. They wake up saying, I want to get rid of this house today, right? I want to get a new house today. I want to move closer to work, further away from work. I want more room. I want less room. I want to move back to family. I want to move away from family. That's the motivation, okay? Let's not get confused. No one wakes up wanting to sell their home, okay? People wake up wanting to get a new home. That's the start of it. And we not only think this is true, Roberto, we measured this, right? We talked about this a few weeks ago. We generated across the whole US and Canada, 706 Facebook leads. We got 365 homeowners out of those 706 Facebook leads. Over 50% of buyer leads, these are considered buyer leads by the industry, right? You've got a homes list ad, single property ad, home carousel ad. You generate a lead from that, and oh, it's a buyer lead. Half of those have a home to sell nationally on average. Half of them have a home to sell, okay? And whether they need to sell it or not, that's a great conversation to have with them. Start it, right? Reach out, see what they need. They're concerned. How do they navigate selling and then buying? What do they do first? Do they need a bridge loan? Do they need just a contingent offer on the next property? Is that even feasible for them? Have that conversation with these folks, okay? But my opinion, and a lot of marketers share this opinion, is that the best way to find sellers in this market is attract them on the buyer side first, and then find out about the home they have. Do they need to sell that? Do they not, right? That is my recommendation. It's the best way to do it ASAP. So those are the 3, Roberto. That's what I got for today. 3 ways ASAP to find sellers right now. And if you guys want the long form version of this talk, I'm going to be going over an hour. I'm going to be going in depth. We're going to be talking about tactics, going to be talking about scripting, a little bit more detail on each one of these 3. We'll be doing a webinar later this week. And Roberto, if that's cool, I'd love to drop a link below in case people want to sign up for that free webinar. Jump in and let's talk all things seller lead generation.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Thank you again for being here. Drop that link, guys. If you guys liked this live today, and go back, search Gustavo Power Hour, go back. We go into detail into one of each types of prospecting that you can do right now. And also, if you guys need help with Facebook advertising, setting up your Facebook ads, setting up the backend automated systems, just put a comment below too. We have something for you. If you're interested in learning how to do that, just drop a comment, help, or Facebook, or whatever you guys want to call it, and we'll reach out if you guys need help with that. All right, Gustavo, thank you so much. So drop that link. I'll probably be there as well. I'd be happy to understand exactly what you guys are doing.
Love it.
To get more sellers. All right, thanks. I'll see you guys. See you next week.